Man, listen, the internet is melting down right now because word on the digital streets is that something wild went down between NBA YoungBoy and rising rapper Plaqboy Max. Something so unexpected, so chaotic, so out of nowhere that fans don't even know what to believe. And the crazy part, everybody's claiming there's already footage, DMs, and eyewitnesses, even though nothing official has been confirmed. Still, the drama spread so fast that by the time the sun came up, social media looked like it had been through a tornado of rumors, memes, and full-blown conspiracies. It all started when Plaqboy Max decided to throw a subliminal diss, or what fans swear was a diss, toward YoungBoy during a late-night IG live. You know how the internet gets. The clip hit TikTok in under 20 seconds, hit Twitter in 10 more, and within an hour, fans were typing paragraphs like they were writing dissertations. Some said Max was bold, others said he was reckless, but everyone agreed on one thing: NBA YoungBoy was gonna hear it. But what nobody expected was what supposedly happened next. Because according to about 5 different sources, who all promised they were there, NBA YoungBoy didn't just respond online. Nah, if you believe the whispers, he pulled up in person while Max was out in public. No security wall, no distance, no warning. Fans are calling it the most shocking pull-up of 2026. The type of story nobody can confirm, yet everybody swears is true. And the details, man, the details are messy. Some fans say voices were raised, some say tempers exploded, some say Max wasn't ready at all, and a few even swear YoungBoy looked calmer than ever. Which somehow made everything feel even more intense. If this is real, it changes everything. If it's fake, it's the most convincing fake drama the culture has seen in years. But here's where things get really crazy. The streets of social media were already buzzing before sunrise, but nobody expected the energy to explode the way it did once people realized the tension between YoungBoy never broke again and Plaqboy Max wasn't just online smoke anymore. Overnight, the narrative turned from "did Max really diss YB?" to "bro, YB actually caught him lacking." Fans swore this wasn't regular rap beef energy. This felt personal, emotional, and way deeper than a late-night IG live slip-up. What made everything even more insane was how fast the whispers turned into full-blown storytelling. But people who weren't even in the same state were suddenly claiming they knew somebody who was there, adding fuel to a fire already burning wild. It all began at a small showcase event in Houston, the type of spot where underground artists test new tracks and surprise appearances are normal. Plaqboy Max had pulled up with his usual circle, trying to keep the vibe light even though his mentions were drowning in comments about the so-called diss. Fans kept pushing him to speak on it, clear it up, or stand on business, depending on which side they were on. Max tried brushing it off at first, but you could feel the tension simmering under the surface. His homies kept checking him like, "Bro, you good?" And Max kept saying he wasn't worried, but his eyes told a different story. Even he didn't know whether the clip had been overblown or whether YoungBoy had seen it and taken it personally. By the time Max entered the venue, the atmosphere had already shifted. People were whispering, pointing, watching his every move, not because of his music, but because the whole room felt like they were waiting for something dramatic to happen. It was the kind of tension that makes the air feel thick, like everyone's holding their breath. One fan said the mood reminded him of a reality show moment right before somebody flips a table. Another said he felt like he needed popcorn. The energy was that intense. Max kept trying to stay focused, chopping it up with fans and moving through the crowd, but every few minutes somebody would shove a phone in his face and ask, "Yo, did you really diss YB?" The way he reacted depended on who asked. Sometimes he laughed it off. Sometimes he rolled his eyes. But at one point, after a group of fans wouldn't let it go, Max snapped a little. He muttered, "Man, I don't care about none of that. Y'all be reaching." The clip spread instantly, making the situation even worse. Meanwhile, backstage, a rumor began circulating that YoungBoy's people had been spotted in the parking lot. At first, nobody believed it. YoungBoy wasn't even supposed to be in Houston, but the whispers kept spreading. Someone claimed they saw a familiar car. Someone else said they'd seen one of YoungBoy's cousins. A staff member told security he felt a situation incoming. The type of rumor that ignites adrenaline in a crowd, even before anything actually happens. When Max's DJ pulled him aside and told him the rumor, Max froze for a second. He wasn't scared, at least that's what he told everyone, but he definitely wasn't expecting real movement. His boys tried to hype him up, telling him it was probably just internet nonsense. But one of his close friends leaned in and quietly said, "Bro, What if he really heard you? And that's when Max's whole mood shifted. His face tightened, his voice got low. He said, "If you want to talk, I'll talk. I ain't ducking nobody." But fans outside were already reacting like the confrontation had begun. TikTokers started filming live, narrating nothing as if it were everything. "Y'all, it's going down. I'm right here on the scene," even though they were in the parking lot eating fries. That's how wild the internet had become. People wanting the smoke more than the rappers themselves. Then came the moment that changed the room. A sudden ripple moved through the crowd. People stepping back, cameras rising, whispers turning into gasps. A tall figure in a hoodie walked in with that unmistakable quiet confidence, the type of presence that makes everybody go silent without being told. That's when someone said it, not yelled, not screamed, just said it with a shaky voice that carried through the tension. "That's YoungBoy, bro. That's actually NBA YoungBoy." Fans swear the temperature dropped. Even people who weren't involved started backing up like they wanted to be out the line of fire but still close enough to witness history. Max didn't notice at first. He was laughing with someone near the stage, but his homie tapped him hard on the shoulder. Max turned, expecting to see a fan or a joke, but instead he locked eyes with one person he never expected to see walk in unannounced. YoungBoy, calm, silent, hands in his pockets, not yelling, not angry, just staring like he already knew everything he needed to know. The room went dead quiet. Max's whole energy shifted instantly. One second he looked confident, the next he blinked like his brain was trying to buffer. He wasn't lacking in the sense of being alone. His crew was right there, but he was lacking in preparation. Nobody expected YoungBoy to pull up in person. Nobody expected him to come without a giant security wall. And nobody expected him to walk in with that eerie calm. YoungBoy took a couple steps forward, but still silent. Fans said it felt like watching a movie scene in slow motion. That type of moment where the music cuts and all you hear is breathing. Max's crew immediately tightened around him, but YoungBoy wasn't rushing. He wasn't folding his fists. He wasn't even raising his voice. He just said one sentence. Simple, low, steady. "So that's how you feel." That alone made the whole crowd gasp. Max scrambled for words. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally he said, "Bruh, it wasn't even like that." But his voice cracked slightly and fans heard it. They replayed that moment online 100 times, arguing whether Max sounded nervous or just caught off guard. YoungBoy tilted his head, studying him like he was trying to decide whether he believed him. And that expression, cold, unreadable, intense, hit harder than if he'd started shouting. One fan later posted, "YB being calm is way scarier than YB being mad." That comment went viral. Then Max's boys jumped in, talking over each other, trying to defuse the situation. "Ain't nobody dissing you, bro. It's all misunderstandings." The internet blew it up. But the more they talked, the more obvious it became that YoungBoy wasn't here for their explanations. He had come to hear Max speak for himself. Max swallowed, stepped forward, and said, "Look, I ain't say your name. I ain't disrespect you. I don't got no problem with you. If anybody framed it like that, that's on them." YoungBoy didn't blink. "You sure?" That question alone sent shivers through the room. Even people far away swore they felt pressure, like they were witnessing something deeper than a rap misunderstanding. Max nodded quickly, maybe too quickly. "Yeah, 100, I respect what you do." And for a moment, just a moment, it looked like everything might cool off. But that's when things took a turn. A random fan in the crowd, nobody knows why he did it, yelled out. Max was talking crazy on live though. The room exploded with noise. Max snapped his head toward the crowd, yelling, "Man, shut up! You wasn't even there!" His frustration broke through the calm he was trying to maintain. YoungBoy's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in awareness, like he was seeing the truth between the cracks of Max's reactions. Max's crew started arguing with fans. Fans started shouting back. Cameras were everywhere. The tension snapped from silent to chaotic in seconds. And through all the noise, YoungBoy quietly stepped closer, leaned in, and said something to Max that nobody could hear, something fans have been trying to decode ever since. Whatever he said, Max's expression changed instantly. The entire room felt it, and that's when everything spiraled even further. The moment YoungBoy leaned in and whispered to Plaqboy Max, the entire venue felt like it shifted into a different reality. Fans swore the air got heavier, like everyone could sense that whatever YoungBoy said wasn't casual, wasn't friendly, and definitely wasn't the kind of thing you shrug off. Max's eyes widened just slightly, not enough for the untrained eye to catch, but enough for people standing a few feet away to start arguing online about whether that tiny shift was fear, guilt, or straight up shock. Someone in the crowd even claimed Max's hand twitched like he didn't know whether to defend himself or shake YoungBoy's hand. Theories spread instantly, each more dramatic than the last. Meanwhile, Max's crew tried stepping closer, trying to form a wall around him, but YoungBoy didn't flinch. He didn't step back, he didn't raise his voice. He just watched Max like he was waiting for a real answer, one deeper than the surface level explanations Max had already given. Max was breathing harder now, trying to keep his composure while the room felt like it was collapsing in on him. It wasn't just YoungBoy standing there. It was the weight of thousands of viewers, millions of comments, endless pressure from a culture that loves drama more than peace. Finally, Max forced a smile. As the kind of shaky grin that people noticed wasn't reaching his eyes. "Look, bro," he said, voice lower than before. "Whatever you think I said, I'm telling you, it wasn't disrespect. You know how the internet be twisting things. They want us to beef. They want us to crash out." But YoungBoy didn't move. "I heard it myself," he said calmly. That line hit Max like a gut punch. Fans watching the leaked clips online kept replaying that exact moment, trying to decide whether YoungBoy meant he literally heard it on live, or whether someone close to him had sent the clip directly. Commentary channels were already spinning theories. Was YoungBoy tracking Max's moves? Did he already feel some type of way before the supposed diss? Was this confrontation planned, or did he genuinely just appear out of nowhere like fans claimed? Max swallowed hard. Realizing he was in a corner now, he didn't want to back down, but he also knew the power imbalance. The culture treated YoungBoy like a mythic figure. Feared, respected, endlessly watched. Max couldn't afford to look weak, but he also couldn't afford to escalate. That inner conflict was written all over his face, even if he tried to hide it. Before he could answer, a sudden crash echoed from near the entrance. Someone had dropped a speaker in the chaos, but the noise snapped the crowd out of their trance. People started shouting, pushing, climbing on chairs just to get a better view. Phones went higher. Security finally tried to jump in, but by then the situation had already spilled out of control. YoungBoy's crew appeared behind him, moving silently, not saying a word, but making it very clear that they were present and aware. That only made fans' hearts race faster. The crowd parted around them like water around a stone, giving YoungBoy a clear path should he decide to take another step forward. Max's boys tensed at the same time, shoulders rising, eyes darting, ready for anything. The tension wasn't just heavy, it was volatile. Like a single wrong word could turn everything physical. Max lifted his hands, palms out, trying to calm the moment. "We ain't gotta do this here," he said, louder now so everyone could hear. "Not in front of all these people." YoungBoy smirked. Not a friendly smirk, not a mocking one, but the kind of expression that made fans online start writing essays about his mental strategy. "You said it in front of all these people," he replied. The entire room erupted again, gasps, shouts, even screams of "ooh!" It was the type of perfectly timed line that felt scripted, like something from a movie. But this wasn't a movie. This was two rappers facing each other in a crowded venue, with emotions building so dangerously that even security looked nervous. Max took a breath, bracing himself. "Man, I already said I didn't mean it like that." "Then say what you meant," YoungBoy said, staring straight into him. That challenge shook Max more than anything else. He wasn't expecting to be forced into a public explanation like this. The pressure made his voice tremble slightly as he said, "It was a joke, bro. A stupid joke. I shouldn't have said it." Fans exploded online. A joke? Suddenly everyone was dissecting the livestream, rewatching it, while I'm fighting in comments over whether Max had really been joking or whether he was folding under pressure. On site, people started shouting conflicting things, some yelling, "Stand on that," while others screamed, "Just squash it." The room became a tornado of chaotic energy. YoungBoy nodded slowly like he was processing the answer, but nobody could read what he was thinking. His calmness was unnerving. Max's crew exchanged nervous glances. Even the DJ, who had been trying to keep the music soft in the background, slowly faded it out entirely. Then out of nowhere, Max's phone started ringing loudly. The ringtone blasted through the tense silence, making the whole moment awkwardly surreal. Max glanced at the caller ID and froze. It was his mom. Fans nearby gasped, instantly nosy. Max turned slightly away, answering in a hushed voice. But the stress cracked through. "Ma, I can't talk right now," he whispered urgently, but she must have heard the tension in his voice because she started talking loudly enough that fans could hear a bit. "Maxwell, you better not be doing something stupid." YoungBoy raised an eyebrow. People in the crowd began laughing, not because it was funny, but because the moment felt straight out of a messy reality show. The timing couldn't have been worse. Max's face flushed with embarrassment as he whispered, "Ma, stop, I'm fine." But she wasn't listening. "I saw that video. You need to stop letting these internet people gas you up." Max glanced over his shoulder and saw YoungBoy watching calmly, arms crossed now. The embarrassment hit Max harder than the confrontation itself. Fans recorded everything. And of course, clips of Max's mom checking him mid-beef trended instantly. Max ended the call quickly, muttering a frustrated sigh. YoungBoy didn't laugh. He didn't mock. He just shook his head slightly and said, "You not built for this." That line broke Max's composure. "Don't play with me like that," he snapped, stepping forward. His crew panicked instantly. "Yo, chill. Max, bro. Not like this." But YoungBoy stood his ground, eyes locked on Max. The calmness was gone now, replaced with something sharper, harder. "Then show me," he said quietly. Max clenched his jaw. The room waited. Every phone was raised. Every breath held. Even the security guards froze, unsure of whether to step in or stay back. Then, in one impulsive moment fueled by embarrassment, tension, and ego, Max shoved YoungBoy's shoulder. The crowd went feral. Screams. Shouts. Cameras dropping. Max's crew lunged forward. YoungBoy's crew surged in. Security tried to split them, but the shove had already broken the invisible line, keeping things controlled. YoungBoy didn't fall back. He didn't stumble. He took the shove, blinked once, and stepped forward with a coldness that felt nuclear. His crew closed in behind him instantly. Max realized what he had just triggered. YoungBoy didn't swing. He didn't escalate physically. Instead, he leaned in close. So close Max had no choice but to listen, and said something so quietly that fans couldn't catch a single word. But whatever he said made Max instantly stop resisting. His shoulders dropped, his jaw unclenched, his breathing slowed. It was as if YoungBoy had spoken a truth Max didn't want to confront. Security finally managed to separate the groups. But fans were already pushing toward the exits, screaming, calling their friends, posting online before they were even outside. Someone shouted, "YB just checked him without touching him." Another yelled, "Max folded again." Others insisted Max was just trying to avoid a massive fight in a packed room. YoungBoy's crew ushered him out calmly, like this was routine. Max stood frozen for a moment, staring at the spot where YoungBoy had stood seconds earlier. His crew surrounded him, trying to talk to him, but Max wasn't listening. His mind was somewhere else, his ego bruised, his pride shaken, and his public image spiraling into chaos before he could process what had even happened. By the time Max finally snapped out of it, fans outside were already spreading new rumors that would twist the story even deeper. Outside the venue, chaos was already erupting like wildfire. Fans were sprinting around with their phones out, documenting every shadow, every car, every person who even remotely resembled someone from either YoungBoy's camp or Max's circle. The parking lot looked less like a show had just ended and more like a scene from a disaster movie, with people frantically narrating events that hadn't even happened yet. Every influencer, every clout chaser, every wannabe journalist was interviewing strangers, asking them, "Did you see the fight? Did Max get pressed? Did YoungBoy swing? Most of them hadn't seen anything, but that didn't stop them from crafting elaborate, dramatic stories on the spot. Their voices layered over each other, turning confusion into spectacle. Inside the green room, Max was pacing like a man whose entire world had been flipped upside down. His chest rose and fell in heavy breaths as he replayed the confrontation in his head, line by line. His crew tried to calm him down, but every word only agitated him more. "Bro, it ain't that deep," one of them said, but Max spun around and shouted, "Yes, it is! Do you understand how this looks?" His voice cracked from stress, revealing just how much the incident had pierced through his confidence. He sank onto the couch, elbows on his knees, hands clasped in front of his face like he was praying or trying not to fall apart. His manager sat down beside him, voice calm but firm. "You gotta chill. You letting the internet get to your head. We can fix this. Just breathe." But Max shook his head violently. "Fix this? Millions of people just watched me get checked by YoungBoy in public. They're gonna clown me. My DM's already blowing up with laughing emojis." Outside the door, Max could hear the muffled shouts of fans still arguing in the hallway, debating whether he had folded or stood his ground. His pride was shredded, and the weight of humiliation felt unbearable. Every minute that passed seemed to inflate the narrative even bigger. Online, clips were already being stitched, edited, slowed down, zoomed in, every micro expression being treated like evidence in a courtroom. Meanwhile, across the venue, YoungBoy's exit was completely different. He walked calmly toward the back parking area, surrounded by his crew. Not in a rush, not heated, just moving with the same unbothered energy he'd shown inside. That calmness only fueled more speculation. Come on, if YB's walking like that, bro definitely didn't take an L. One fan said to his phone while live streaming. Another replied, "He didn't even look pressed. Max looked scared." People who weren't even present insisted they'd got the whole story. Narratives were spreading faster than truth could even breathe. As YoungBoy reached his car, a small group of fans gathered near the barricade, calling his name. Some asked for autographs, others tried to throw questions at him. "What did you say to him? Is it beef? Did Max really diss you?" YoungBoy didn't answer any of them. He simply gave a slight nod, got into the car, and the door shut with a sense of finality that echoed louder than any explanation he could have given. His silence became the story. His calm became the headline. Back inside, Max's mother called again. This time, West, his manager answered, trying to defuse the situation. "He's okay," the manager said. He's just overwhelmed." But Max grabbed the phone, voice cracking. "Ma, don't yell at me right now," she exhaled through the receiver. "Baby, you need to come home. This drama ain't worth your peace." Her tone softened, but Max felt torn between embarrassment and the comfort of hearing her voice. "I can't just leave," he said. "People already think I'm running." "Let them think what they want," she replied. "You know your truth." But Max didn't know anymore. Not really. The internet had a way of swallowing you whole until you questioned even your own memory of events. He ended the call and stared at the floor, feeling smaller than he had in years. One of his closest friends leaned against the wall and finally said what everyone had been avoiding. "Bro, maybe you should have apologized earlier, like before he showed up." Max's eyes shot up. "So you think this my fault?" he demanded. His friend shrugged. "Not saying that, but you know how YB moves. He don't play about respect. You poke the bear, even accidentally, and he pulls up to check the temperature." Max groaned, rubbing his temples. "Bruh, I wasn't trying to diss him. It was a joke, a stupid one, and now the whole world thinks I'm scared of him." His friend sighed. "You ain't scared, you just surprised. Anybody would be." Max didn't respond. He stood up again and walked to the mirror across the room. His reflection looked exhausted, tense, defeated. He whispered to himself, "This can't be how they see me." His insecurities surfaced like old wounds. For an artist still building his name, image mattered, respect mattered, and right now both felt like they were slipping through his fingers. His manager stepped in firmly. "Look, you can still control the story. Do a video, explain it yourself before everyone else twists it more than they already are." But Max shook his head. "If I go live now, they're gonna say I'm only talking because I got pressed. They'll clown me worse." His voice dropped. "And if I don't say anything, they'll clown me anyway." His crew exchanged glances. No one had a good answer. Meanwhile, social media exploded with new claims. One rumor said YoungBoy told Max, "You not built for this." Another claimed he warned Max to keep his name out of his mouth. Yeah, and someone claimed YoungBoy smiled after leaving, which only intensified the drama. One viral tweet read, "YB just ended Max's career without even touching him." The replies were a mix of jokes, outrage, and wild fan theories. A separate rumor said Max was planning to drop a response track, which got fans hyped even though Max hadn't said a word about music since the confrontation. Rap commentary channels were already uploading thumbnails with captions like "Max folds" and "YB catches him lacking." The thumbnails exaggerated everything. Red circles, arrows, circled faces, shocked expressions. People were making money off Max's humiliation, and it was driving him deeper into frustration. While the world dissected the situation, Max stormed toward the exit of the green room. "I need some air," he muttered, ignoring his crew's attempts to slow him down. He pushed open a side door and stepped into the alley behind the venue. The cool night air hit his face, grounding him for a moment, but peace didn't last. A small group of fans had gathered near the corner, and when they spotted him, they rushed forward with cameras on. "Yo, Max, what happened with YB? You letting him talk to you like that? Say something for the live." Max's jaw tightened. "Man, nah, not right now," he said, holding up a hand, but one fan stepped closer, flashing his phone like a spotlight. "Bro, you can't go out like that. You gotta clear the air. People saying you scared." That word, scared, hit Max like a punch. His nostrils flared. "I ain't scared of nobody," he snapped. The fan grinned, satisfied with stirring the pot. Then say what you meant on live." Max felt the trap forming. These weren't supporters, they were vultures circling fresh drama. He pushed past them, but the crowd kept following, shouting, recording, goading him into a reaction. Back inside, Max's manager rushed out with 2 security guards. They pulled Max away from the fans and ushered him back into the venue, but the damage was already done. Clips of Max looking irritated, frustrated, and overwhelmed were already online by the time he stepped back inside. The new narrative? Max losing it backstage. Max can't handle the pressure. Max slammed a chair when he returned to the green room, the sound echoing against the walls. "I'm tired of this," he yelled. "Everyone acting like they know what happened. Like I'm weak or something." His manager finally raised his voice. "Max, stop." "Oh, you're giving them exactly what they want." Max froze. In that moment, he realized the truth. Every reaction he gave, every word, every expression was being weaponized against him. The world wanted entertainment, not fairness. Drama made the algorithms dance. And right now, he was the star of a narrative he didn't create. He sat back down slowly, breathing hard. "So what do I do?" he whispered. His manager exhaled, sitting beside him again. "You rebuild, carefully, strategically, because right now, the story isn't yours, not yet." Max nodded weakly, staring at the floor, but the night wasn't done twisting yet. A new rumor was already circulating outside, one that would take this drama to an entirely new level. By the time Max finally felt calm enough to breathe again, the rumor that had begun spreading outside was already dominating every corner of social media. At first, it surfaced quietly, posted by a random burner account with a blurry screenshot and a caption that read, "Max wasn't the only one YB talked to tonight." Nobody took it seriously for the first few minutes, but then someone else reposted it, then another, then a known rap blog picked it up with a headline that screamed, "YB gave Max a final warning." That was all the internet needed. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from embarrassment to danger, and every influencer, commentator, and spectator was scrambling to get a piece of the story before it blew up even bigger. Inside the green room, Max's phone exploded with notifications, buzzing every few seconds like a heartbeat he couldn't escape. He finally picked it up, expecting more clowning. But instead his timeline was filled with speculation. People claiming YoungBoy threatened him, people claiming YoungBoy gave him an ultimatum, people swearing they heard YB say something about round 2. Max's stomach dropped. None of this was true, at least not in the way people were spinning it. But the moment rumors start sounding believable, the truth becomes irrelevant. He scrolled faster, eyes widening at each post. Someone had posted a fake audio leak of YoungBoy warning him. Someone else photoshopped text messages implying Max had apologized privately. The worst part? People were believing it. Not questioning, not doubting. Believing. The narrative was leaving his control faster than he could even think of a response. His manager, noticing the panic in Max's face, grabbed the phone. "Stop reading that mess. Half of it is AI. The other half is people who weren't even there." But Max shook his head. This is bad. This is really bad. If people think he threatened me, they're gonna act like I'm hiding. They're gonna make this bigger than it is. His friend chimed in from the corner. Bro, it's already bigger than it is. Max shot him a look, but the friend wasn't wrong. The story had evolved far beyond a simple confrontation. It had shapeshifted into a myth, into a saga the internet wanted to watch unfold, regardless of the truth. Meanwhile, outside the venue, a group of fans huddled together like reporters covering a global crisis. One kid in a hoodie, holding his phone like a microphone, spoke to his live audience with absolute confidence. So boom, apparently YB told Max he got 1 week to fix the disrespect. Like 1 week, bro. Or he's spinning back. His friends nodded dramatically, even though none of them had heard anything remotely like that. But confidence sells, and their stream shot from 20 viewers to 200, then 500. Across the parking lot, another group claimed they overheard Max crying backstage. Another claimed YoungBoy smirked as he walked out, which they interpreted as a sign he had won. The fact that none of these accounts matched didn't matter. The crowd wasn't looking for truth. They were looking for the most entertaining version of the story. Back inside, Max's anxiety twisted into anger. Why are they doing this? He demanded. Why does everything gotta be extra? His manager rubbed his forehead. Because drama sells. And right now, you're the main character whether you want to be or not. Max stood abruptly, pacing again. I need to talk to YoungBoy. Like, actually talk to him. Not in front of cameras. Not with people watching. Just us. His crew exchanged uneasy glances. Bro, I don't think that's a good idea, one said hesitantly. Like, not tonight. Not while everything's this heated. But Max wasn't listening. He grabbed his jacket, running a hand through his hair. If I don't, this is gonna ruin me. People gonna think I'm scared forever. His manager stepped in front of him. Max, listen, YoungBoy already left, and even if he didn't, this isn't the time to chase him down. You need to let this breathe. Max's chest rose and fell rapidly. I can't let this be the story. I can't let them build me up as some clown. But his manager grabbed him by both shoulders, grounding him. You'll make it worse. Let tonight end. Tomorrow. We'll figure out how to handle it. Max didn't respond, but he didn't push past him either. Instead, he sank down onto a nearby crate, burying his face in his hands. The pressure, the humiliation, the loss of control, it all pressed down on him like a weight he couldn't lift. As Max struggled internally, another piece of the rumor storm erupted online. Apparently, someone claimed they saw YoungBoy on FaceTime with another rapper immediately after leaving the venue, laughing about the situation. The internet latched onto this instantly. Fans reposted it with captions like YB ain't worried at all, and Max got turned into a joke. The rumor grew until people began tagging major rappers, asking for their opinions as if this were a national crisis. Max's heart dropped when he saw those posts. They trying to clown me worldwide, he whispered. His manager sighed. Welcome to the internet in 2026. But the night wasn't done spinning. A few minutes later, another rumor caught fire, this time from someone claiming to be part of the venue staff. Their tweet read, Max and YB had a private convo before security pulled them apart, way deeper than y'all think. The tweet went viral instantly. People began speculating about what private convo meant. Some said Max begged for forgiveness. Others said YoungBoy gave Max a second chance. Some even claimed the two were secretly planning a collab, and all of this was publicity. The theories grew so rapidly that they overshadowed the original incident. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds between fans who were convinced Max folded and fans who argued he showed bravery by not escalating. And people who had never heard of Max before were suddenly calling him weak, while others declared him a victim of bullying. Max stared at the chaos unfolding on his screen, feeling smaller by the second. Why won't this stop? He whispered again. His manager pulled him aside. Listen carefully. There are only two ways out of this. Either you embrace the drama and ride the wave, or you shut everything down and go dark for a while. Max shook his head quickly. No, if I disappear, they'll say I'm scared. If I post, they'll say I'm scared. No matter what I do, he couldn't finish the sentence. His friend crossed his arms. This whole thing could have been avoided if that fan didn't yell out like an idiot. Max groaned, remembering the explosive moment that derailed everything. I swear if I see that dude again. But before he could finish, someone knocked on the green room door. The room fell silent instantly, tension slamming back into everyone's chest. Max froze, eyes wide. Who is that? A security guard opened the door just enough to slip inside. "Max," he said cautiously, "there's someone here asking for you." Max stiffened. "Asking for me? Who?" The guard hesitated. "He said he's from YB's camp." The whole room erupted at once. Max's friends shouted. His manager cursed. Max's pulse skyrocketed. "Tell him I'm not doing this twice in one night," Max snapped, panic flaring. But the guard shook his head. "He's not aggressive. He just said YB wants to make sure the situation doesn't turn into something bigger online." Max blinked, shocked. "What?" His manager stepped forward. "Clarify? Like peace talk? Or what?" The guard shrugged helplessly. "He didn't say, you are just asked to speak to Max privately." Max's breath hitched. The room felt smaller, tighter, louder, even though no one was talking. "Do you want to see him?" his manager asked quietly. Max hesitated. For the first time all night, he didn't know what the right choice was. And outside the door, the story was still growing like a wildfire with no end in sight. The night ended, but the story refused to die. Max sat in that cramped green room, staring at the door where YoungBoy's associate waited on the other side, and the entire world held its breath right along with him. Fans flooded comment sections with theories, predictions, and demands for answers. Some believed Max would accept the meeting and finally clear the air. Others swore he would refuse, fearing another confrontation. And then there were those who believed the drama was only just beginning, that this was merely the calm before a much bigger storm between two rising forces in rap culture. Every detail from that night was twisted, stretched, or remixed into new rumors. What did YoungBoy whisper to Max? What did Max say back? Why did someone from YB's camp return after everything seemed to be over? The internet didn't just want answers. They wanted resolution, closure, and maybe even revenge, but none of that came. Instead, Max's future, YoungBoy's intentions, and the truth behind that mysterious message remained suspended in uncertainty, hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. And that's exactly where the story stands now. Unfinished, unresolved, and dangerously unpredictable. Will Max meet with YB's guy? Will YoungBoy speak out publicly? Oh, will the rumors grow into something even bigger? Or will both camps shock everyone and squash the entire situation once and for all? That's where you come in. If you've made it this far into the story, then you're officially part of the drama. Drop your thoughts below. What do you think happens next? Was Max wrong? Was YB justified? Is this beef real or internet made? Make sure you like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter in this wild saga. Trust me, with the way things are unfolding, you're gonna want to be here when the truth finally drops. Now go ahead, let's see those comments flood in.